Welcome to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to get into a stack of really fascinating sources. They're all centered on a recent newsletter, issue 573, and this stuff gives us a really immediate kind of ground level view of innovation, impact, and opportunity happening in Zambia, like right now. It's pretty well timed too, actually. The sources kick off celebrating Zambia turning 61. The theme is 61 years of peace and unity, building a resilient and prosperous Zambia.
It's right, John.
And that whole idea of resilience is not just, nice language.
Yeah.
It really seems to define the whole ecosystem we're going to explore.
Exactly. Yeah, what jumps out at me right away is just the maturity of the approach here. We're not just seeing isolated startup wins. This material just shows a pretty sophisticated, like, two-pronged strategy. You've got these deliberate grassroots efforts, training the next generation, but then that's paired explicitly with high-level policy work, setting up the long-term funding and the rules, the structure.
Right, that mix is so important. You need both, don't you? The energy on the ground, but also the official backing to make it stick. Why is that policy part so much more critical than just, say, letting the market figure it out?
Well, because without that structure, innovation can be really fragile. Policy gives stability, standards, and maybe most importantly, access to those larger resources.
Yeah.
And if you look closely at the source material, you can see they get this. They're investing early, right in the talent.
Okay, let's unpack that talent pipeline. Starting with the UNZA Student Boot Camp in Kabwe, it followed that Unleash the Witty Innovator in You challenge. And reading about it, this was definitely not your standard university lecture.
Oh, far from it. No, this was all about practical application skills. The students were really digging into things like design thinking, prototyping, testing, that kind of structured hands-on training, especially partnering with UNZA's Directorate of Innovation. That's how you push an idea off a napkin and into the real world, potentially as a tested product.
Okay, so for listeners maybe not super familiar with these terms, design thinking, what does that actually look like? Is it just like brainstorming?
It's more structured than that. It's a process, really, repeatable. In this kind of context, it means they learn to really empathize first, understand the actual problems someone in the community has before jumping to build something. Then you prototype fast, test it with real people, get feedback, and importantly, you accept that failure is just part of tweaking it, iterating. It stops you building something nobody actually needs.
That focus on real impact, sustained impact. It seems really well captured in the Spotlight piece on Women in Tech Zambia. The sources talk about this impact beyond the prize model. What's that about?
Yeah, and that model, it holds a really vital insight, I think.
Yeah.
The prize money itself, the initial win, that's often not the true measure of success down the line. So even though 5 founders specifically didn't get the competition funding, they weren't just left behind. They immediately joined the alumni network. And that gives them ongoing mentorship, visibility, chances to collaborate. It's structural support that lasts way longer than a single check.
And you can see that payoff, right? The story of Mwinji Nakamba, founder of WasteMat Zambia, her journey after the program is quite something.
Absolutely. The program helped her sharpen up her finances, her operations, basically get her house in order. And that directly led to partnerships that let her deliver, get this, 5,000 Vive reusable sanitary pads.
Wow. 5,000.
Yeah.
So that translates to, 2,500 girls getting access to safe, sustainable menstrual products. That's hard data. It shows the success model isn't just who wins the pitch day, but it's about growth, measurable social good.
And now we're seeing these alumni, they're moving from these successful local ventures to getting global recognition. And critically, saving lives right in their community.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Seeing that applied tech in action.
Yeah.
Let's start with Dawa Health. They're BongoHive alumni. They just won the DS4 Health Africa Ideathon 2025, sponsored by Google. I mean, that's huge validation on an international stage.
Huge. And really deserved. From what the sources describe, their solution sounds powerful. It's an AI-powered system, right? Designed to make cervical cancer screening better, and also patient support specifically for rural clinics, low-resource settings. So this tech, it's a direct shot at improving healthcare access across Africa, basically using machine learning where maybe doctors are scarce, equity.
That's amazing. But, if you want a case study that just lays out the immediate, quantifiable, life-saving impact of operational innovation, we have to look at Genea Healthcare. This whole section, it just proves that direct line between fixing a supply chain and, massive public health wins.
Yeah, let's just focus on the results here because they're stark. Genea Healthcare worked with the Zambia Conference of Catholic Bishops, ZCCB, and Haiti. They implemented this tech-enabled rural distribution model.
Okay, hit us with those critical data points, the ones that prove it worked.
All right. In just 6 months, January to June 2025, and this is across only 8 mission health facilities, this new distribution model averted 578 deaths.
Whoa, hold on. 578 deaths averted
578.
in half a year in just 8 clinics,
Mm.
simply because the supply chain got better. That number's it's staggering. I need to pause on that. That's nearly 3 lives saved every single day just in those few places. What was wrong with the old system? I mean, why was it failing so badly? Was it just paper records, or was the actual logistics chain broken?
It seems like it was probably a mix of things compounding, a fragile physical logistics chain, yes, but also paired with slow manual reporting. So the old system, it was just prone to stockouts. They couldn't predict demand well, couldn't track deliveries reliably, and that led to catastrophic patient turnaways, people needing medicine, and it just wasn't there.
And the innovation just turned that around.
Dramatically, yeah. Beyond the deaths averted, they boosted medicine availability way up to 88%. That's a huge jump from 71% in the control sites. And those patient turnaways, people showing up needing essential meds and being sent away empty-handed, that number dropped significantly from 67% down to 38%. The tech just provided visibility, transparency, efficiency, which instantly translates into lives saved. That really is impact defined.
So, okay, we've gone from grassroots student training, really inspiring stuff, to literally life-saving logistics changes.
Yeah.
The question then becomes, how do you take those incredible micro successes, like those 578 lives saved, and protect them, scale them up, make them national policy?
That's the perfect transition, really, to the macro level, where leadership is actively trying to shape that exact policy environment. We see BongoHive's leaders mentioned, not just as mentors, but really stepping up as a national agenda setters.
Right, there's dual leadership mentioned here.
Yes. The executive director, Lukonga Lindunda, gave a high-profile keynote. This was at the PMI Zambia Conference 2025. And his topic, future-ready product management, integrating AI, wasn't just theory. It focused on practical AI uses like automated scheduling, predicting risks. He's basically pushing the established project management industry to integrate these tools now to boost national productivity.
And then the co-founder, Simunza S. Muyangana, he was very visible too, right? As chairperson of NBII, that's the National Association of Business Incubation and Innovation. He was at major African events, AfriLabs, SAM 2025, tackling the big picture stuff.
Exactly. His focus was on the critical infrastructure needed to keep this whole thing going. Startup financing models, how you make sure innovation hubs across the continent can sustain themselves, and also securing buy-in for that grassroots innovation we talked about earlier. It really places what's happening in Zambia within that wider African digital context.
In connecting that leadership straight to immediate opportunities for people to learn. The sources mention an upcoming AI show and tell. What's really interesting here is the format they specify. Demo first, no slides, just working products, code, and workflows.
Yes, and that's such a critical distinction. It signals a deliberate push to move the national AI conversation beyond just buzzwords, beyond the hype, straight to tangible proof. They're demanding show, don't just tell, letting learners, builders, everyone see and probably question real practical AI actually working.
And that practical focus seems to be leading directly into policy discussions. We see government getting involved at the ITS Kopala Kitwe event that's coming up in November 2025. It brings together innovators, the private sector, high-level officials. This sounds like where things could get really concrete.
Oh, absolutely pivotal, that policy discussion. The keynote mentioned is from Honorable Felix Chipota Mutati, and he's set to discuss the Innovation and Inventors Bill and, crucially, a new venture capital fund.
Okay, let's slow down there. A new venture capital fund. If this bill passes, if this fund gets set up, what does that actually mean tangibly for an average founder on the ground?
Well, the bill itself, it aims to protect intellectual property, standardize how innovation is governed, basically create a more predictable environment to work in. But the venture capital fund, that's the fuel. It signals serious government intention to not just regulate, but to actively capitalize this sector, to support startups, and really importantly, to make sure young innovators, youth voices, can actually access significant scaled-up funding beyond just those early angel rounds or small grants. This is the difference maker between a small pilot project and achieving national scale.
And this national push, it loops right back perfectly to, well, to our listeners potentially, especially those thinking about the future workforce. If you're listening, the sources point out a direct way you can influence who benefits from this new fund down the line. There's a clear action step.
Yeah, they're running two really important surveys right now. The results are meant to shape future education efforts. There's a business owner survey trying to pinpoint the specific skills that are missing in recent graduates. Making sure the talent pipeline actually meets what industry needs, avoiding waste.
Right. And then there's a professional survey. This one asks people already in the workforce.
Yeah.
What do you wish you knew before your first job? So your insights, what skills really ended up mattering? What maybe your education missed that can directly help prepare the next generation? It feels like a really direct, powerful way to ensure the innovators who might get that new VC funding are actually set up to succeed.
Exactly. It's that whole holistic approach, again, from high-level policy and funding right down to skills gap analysis. It just shows how interconnected this whole Zambian innovation ecosystem is becoming.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's quickly touch on the resources mentioned that people can actually access. There's the Entrepreneur Resource Portal. Sounds like it's packed with essential tools for Zambian entrepreneurs, covering funding, budgeting, networking.
Practical stuff. Yep. And for anyone specifically interested in the cutting edge of AI, there's the Deep Learning Indivex Zambia 2025. It's virtual, so accessible, and it includes hands-on technical sessions focusing on large language models, LLMs, the kind of powerful AI behind things like ChatGPT. It's a chance to really get under the hood, understand the tech that's maybe driving solutions like Dawa Health's.
And speaking of tech, it's interesting that the newsletter itself uses it. It's available as an AI-powered audio version using Google's AI voice tech. The message seems clear. Innovation isn't just the topic, it's also the delivery method.
Yeah. This whole deep dive, really, it paints a picture of a dynamic, vibrant, very interconnected ecosystem. You've got policy, education, applied tech all converging, and crucially, leading to measurable social and economic good. And it's grounded in that hard data, like the Dunia healthcare results.
It really is a masterclass in driving impact you can actually count.
Which I suppose leads us to that final provocative thought for everyone listening. Given that profound, data-proven impact we saw with Dunia Healthcare's tech-enabled supply chain, averting 578 deaths, slashing patient turnaways, how quickly will the government actually adopt and scale that specific, proven model nationwide? And maybe more pointedly, what barriers, administrative, structural, maybe even political, will that new venture capital fund need to tackle head on to make sure that kind of life-saving scale-up happens fast across the whole country, not just in 8 clinics?
That is indeed the challenge, isn't it? Especially thinking about the next 61 years of resilience. We really encourage you listening to explore those specific stories. Mention Dawa Health, WasteMat Zambia. Go look them up. See this applied innovation in action for yourself.